Okay, we're up to Tesvav Amid base, Tesvav Amid base, and we're going to bring in, it's kind of a new sugya, and it deals very much with the dimensions of a place called the Beis Hamoked. The Beis Hamoked was a shar on the north side of the Azara, and it had it was a big lishka. Beis Hamoked was a big place, and it had 4 sub rooms. And the discussion on the hand exactly was location of the Beis Hatloyim. The Beis Hatloyim is where they would keep the sheep. So where was it located? We're going to seem to have a stira, whether it was in the northwest or the southwest. We're going to establish that one is in Masechta Midas, one is in Masechta Tamid. We're going to say Masechta Midas goes according to Rabbi Eliezer and Yaakov. We're going to prove it. So the Gemara is pretty much. I guess I can locate it already because we do have permission from Art Scroll. So let me show you where the Beis Hamoked is. Let's get this up on the screen. Okay. Let me spin it. Okay. Okay, the Beis Hamoked, guys, is located right here.
We don't see it. You don't see it.
It's not on the screen?
No, it's not on the screen.
It's not on the screen. Okay. Let's redo it again.
I see.
All right. How is it not on the screen? I'm going to stop the recording. Okay, so Tesvav Amid base, Tanan Hasam, about 10 lines to the bottom. Amar Lehem Amamuna, the Muna was the Sagana Kayin, who was going to take his place if something happened to him. So what did the Muna say to him? Su'u ve'viu tle milishkas beis hatloim. Go bring a sheep. After all, they're going to bring the sheep for the Karmid Tamid. So they said, bring it from the chamber where they would keep them. The Lishkas Beis Hatloim was in the northwest chamber, in the Beis Hamoked. Again, we saw there's 4, and it's the northwest chamber. And in this big place called the Beis Hamoked, there were what? There were 4 chambers. Achas Lishkas Hatloim. One was after mentioned the Lishkas Beis Hatloim. The Achas Lishkas Hachaisamois, and one was the chamber of the receipts. Guys, we just learned Shkolim. Remember, they had different receipts. One said Chet on it, one said Egel on it, one said Ayel on it, one said Kevis on it, and Machloikas Beis Shammai, what it said on it. And you would go ahead, you'd go there, and you get your petek, and with that petek, you would be able to go ahead and purchase in the Beis Hamikdash oils and wine, which you have the surety that it wasn't tamei. That's the whole advantage of buying it in the Beis Hamikdash, right? You might correctly remember that from Shkolim. It wasn't that long ago. The Achas Lishka is Beis Hamoked, and one was the Lishka in the Beis Hamoked. There was a Lishka called Beis Hamoked. It was a hot place where the Kahanim would stay. Again, the Kahanim, Rashi brings, they had to walk barefoot on cold marble floors. And as a result, they were always cold all the time. So they had a place where they'd warm up. It was called Beis Hamoked. Mokum means fire. It was the chamber of the Beis Hamoked. So you have one lishka for tloyim, one lishka for the receipts, the petek to buy oil and wine, and one Beis Hamoked for the kohanim. V'achas lishka she'osim lechem aponim, and one where they made lechem aponim. So we've illustrated the 4, and the locale of the lishka tloyim was northwest. Good. And that is the Mishnah in Tamid. That's the Mishnah in Tamid. And now we're going to quote a Mishka in Midos. There's 2 Mishnayos. There's a Mishka Tamid that deals with the Masechta Tamid that deals with the Karmid Tamid, and a Mishnayos called Masechta Midos, which deals with what? The dimensions of the Beis Hamikdash. Now, so here's Masechta Midos. What does it say? Arba l'shakos hoy lebeis hamoikid, kiketunois pesuchos l'traklin, like rooms that open up into a big corridor. Shtayim b'kodesh, 2 were in the kodesh. Ushtayim b'choil, and 2 were in the choil. If you'll notice in the the picture, right, the way it's situated, the 39 and 40 are out of bounds, and 38 and 37 are in bounds, right? They're in the kodesh proper, with that line, that purple line being the demarcation of what's kodesh and what's not. One had the kedusha of Harabayas, and one had the kedusha of Machna Shechina, right? One had the kedusha Harabayas, and one had the kedusha Machna Shechina in the Beis Hamikdash proper. So again, one of those 4 chambers, 2 were in the Chayil and 2 were in the Kodesh. Good. And again, we're asking a question based on the location of the Beis Hatloim. We're trying to figure out the location of Beis Hatloim. and there was like a head that had on it like here's the picture that I don't want you taking a picture of, that had like little one was Kodesh, one was Chol. They had like a thing going across the top. You'd hit your head, you'd know that you're entering from Chol to Kodesh. It was you couldn't get in. It was like a finger went down, so it would hit you on the head to remind you where you are exactly located, right? Okay, so that was the situation over there. And Mavdil min Kodesh Chol, Umahoyim Mishamashos, and what were the purpose of these 4 chambers? What were the purpose of these 4 chambers? Do I have to remind you, doctor, that the share starts at 8:30 promptly?
We were both over by Tversky, and then we remembered that.
Always an answer.
Dov, you might be speaking for yourself, but Michael is a true follower of Rabbi Ratkin. He's only joined us Rabbi Ratkin. So you want?
I told him to come to Rabbi Tversky.
Okay. Anyway.
Rami.
So Michael, what you learn from this interchange is if you welcome him, he's going to throw you under the bus. Welcome with somebody else. Anyway.
From here on, every man for himself.
Okay. Anyways. Okay. Anyway. Okay. Anyway, so you have these four chambers, and now my Rabbis Troimis, the southwest, he hoys a lishkas clay carbon, guys. This is kasha. The southwest, that was the lishkas what? The lishkas clay carbon. So not northwest, southwest. That's your stira. We'll continue to explain, but you got the kasha already, right? Is it northwest or southwest? According to the Mishnah in Talmud, it's northwest. According to the Mishnah in Midas, it's southwest. Good. And now what are the other 4? What are the other 4 chambers in the Beis HaMoikid? Jeroimus Mizrach is southeast. He lishka shahaya oisab lachem upon him. That's where they made lachem upon him. Mizrach is Sfinis, the northeast. Bo gonzu beis chashmenoyim avne mizbeach sheshoktzum malachi oibei kechavim. There, they put the stones of the mizbeach that the Greeks had defiled by bringing avodah zarah, chazerim on, and all kinds of things. They went ahead, they broke it down, of course, and they kept the remnant as a nest. They kept it as a nest, and that was stored in that chamber. And the 4th chamber was what? And Svinis Marav is the northwest, but over there, Yordim LeBeis HaTfilah. That was the place they would go down to the Beis HaTfilah. So again, you have a question, exactly what was the location of the Beis HaTloyim? Was it northwest or southwest? So, excuse me? Yeah, the Chashmonoyim. They did.
But the minority didn't do because that was just defiled. They never worshipped anything.
Again, it doesn't say, but there they brought avodah zarah on it, so they kept the stones. So
was the room before they did that?
What?
What was that?
No, it could be they did other things with it. It could be. Listen, we have a bunch of different chaysamas. We have a bunch of different. So it's not, again, I don't know, exactly what it was used for, but that's at the time this Mishnah was written at this time at the end the Bayis Sheni towards the latter years, the Nesel Chanukah. So that's what they said was there. But what it was used for before, I don't know. It could as this ice of the nest that took place that they overcame yeah. Now. Amar Rav Huna, Man Tana Midas. Who's the Tana of Masech the Midas that learned it's in the southwest? That's Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. That's the Tana Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Now we guys, we have a Messiah, in the Koli. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov is Kavanaki. There's very few of him, but the halacha is like him. The halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Did none. Now, what we're going to do now, guys, is the following. We're going to prove that Masech the Midas goes according to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Good. Okay, we're going to prove that it goes according to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Ezus Nashim Haya Oirich Mea Ushleishim V'Chamesh Al Roichev Mea Ushleishim V'Chamesh. The Ezras Nashim fellas, okay, Ezras Nashim was 135 by 135. The Ezras Nashim, here's the Ezras Nashim over here. If you look at picture, it's when you walk in, it's considered the Harabayas, and it's picture you see 11, 12, 10, 13. It's where the compass is, right? You see that? Guys, that's the Ezras Nashim. That had a din of of Harabayas. So if a person was Tamei Tumas Mace, they could be there. If a person was Tamei Tumas Mace, they could be there. A Balkari could not be there, a Mitzayra and stuff. Anyone who had Tumah that Jetzime Gufoi could not be on the Harabayas. Tamei Mace, believe it or not, could be on the Harabayas, right? They could not be in the Azara proper, which of course is called Machna Shechina. We have, again, I guess I really should speak that out. There's three Machnas. There's Machna Shechina, there's Machna Levia, and there's Machna Yisrael. So that was in the Midbar. How did it correlate in ancient Israel? Speaking like an ancient Israel. Via Zoy given in the Bayish. Okay, yes, the Fashtei. So the Azara, the Azara was Machna Shechina. The Azara, guys, is the area you'll notice on the screen where you go to. You see the number 14. Number 14 is you have the steps and the curve, and then you have 15 is Shar Niknar. Right there, after that is the Machna Shechina. Anything in that area is the Azara proper. That's Machna Shechina. Anything on the Harabayas is Machna Levia, and Yerushalayim itself is Machna Yisrael. Was that was Machna Yisrael. That was the areas over there. Okay, so there are 4 chambers here in the. Let's go back to the Ezras Nashim, and each one served a different purpose. Okay. I'm gonna leave this. I'm gonna leave it on the screen, and we'll see it inside. Ezras Nashim. It's 135 by 135. It's a perfect square, as depicted. It's a perfect square. And there were 4 chambers and 4 corners. And what were they used for? So Droimus Mizrachas, the southeast, right? Southeast. That's number 10 in our picture. He hoisa lishkas hanazirim. That was lishkas hanazirim. Shesham nazirim mevashlim eshalmehem umegalchin sa'aron umeshalchas tachas hadud. The nazir, the guys, when he became tahar, when he would finish his naziris, he would bring a carbon. One of them was a shlamim, and the kohen got the zroya b'shela. The zroya b'shela, of those of you who haven't taken bechinas on Yoredeya would know that's the shishim. That's shishim. That's where we get the that's where shishim comes from. The zroya b'shela. That was the proportion of the zroya b'shela. And because else how could he eat it? It must be that the animal is 60 times, or else you have the kohen's belia going in. Well, I'm getting off on a tangent. And they would cook it over there. He'd take his hair and he'd throw it underneath the pot, and it would burn. So that's the southeast. Continuing on, is Mizrachis Sephinis is northeast, right? He hoisa lishkas dira eitzim. That's number 11, right? That's northeast. Number 11. That was called dira eitzim. That's where they'd store the wood. And you might remember for Shkolim, that might be the place where they buried the Aron. That's where the Kohen found one of the tiles, was a little upset, and he started to say something. The fire got him. So that was that. Again, it's nice to remember something, right? All violence. Notice all violence. Anyway, next. They would go ahead and they would make sure all the worms are out of the wood. Any eights that had a talas is puzzle. Sfoinis ma'ravis. That's the northwest. Sfoinis ma'ravis. He haisa. So that is number 12. He haisa lishkas hamitzaroyim. That was the lishkas hamitzaroyim. Now Mitzayra on the day of his tahira would have to go ahead and get a complete body shave and go to the mikvah. So there was a mikvah in here, and in the mikvah there was a mikvah in there, and he'd go to that mikvah to go ahead and be cleansed on the 8th day, because again they're going to have to they're going to have to put their bahonos, they're going to have to put their toes and their fingers into the azara. You understand? So to go into the azara, you got to be tahar, and they're not completely tahar yet. So again, but they went to the mikvah. My Rabbi is the south, the north, the southwest. The southwest, that is what is number 13. That's Uriah, guys. That's Uriah. In other words, this is the Mishnah Midas. Who's talking? Who's talking? All of a sudden, Rabbi Yaakov says, I forgot what it was. Meaning until now, he's been the one talking, right? He's been the one describing everything until now, and now he says, I forgot. That's your proof. The proof is because he said, I forgot about it. Meaning, he's been talking until now. He's been reciting exactly what each one was, and I forgot this one. So that's your proof that Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov is the Tana of the Mishnah, and therefore you have your teretz. The Mishnah in Talmud northwest Taloyim. That's one. The Mishnah southwest Taloyim sheep is Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, and we just proved that the Mishnah Mishnayos and Midos go according to Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov. Kishmak. And Abba Shal reminds him, that's where they store the yayin v'shemen. And this was called Lishkas Beis Shimnaya, meaning you got your receipt in the Chaisamais, and you'd bring your receipt over there, and they would tell you how much shemen you would need, how much oil and wine you would need. And well, we've proven that Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov is the Tana of the Mishnah. Okay, we're going to continue with a raya that Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov is the Tana of what of the Mishnah. Okay, so now there's this is a great picture. Steve Geller is going to love this picture. Too bad he can't take a picture of it, but he's going to love it.
Like Dr. J and Archie Manning together?
No, it's not Dr. J and Archie Manning together. It's a little better than that. Okay, we know that we learned a little bit about Parah Aduma at the beginning of the Masechta, that the Parah Aduma, all the milas they made about the Parah Aduma, but the Parah Aduma was geschachten on Har, on the Parah Aduma was geschachten on Har Habayis, on Har HaMishra, on Har HaZeisim, and you had the kohen had a spritz. He had to see the oil moed. He had to see the oil moed. Guys, this is an unbelievable picture. If you could see, you see the kohen looking. He has the Parah Aduma there, and he's looking all the way into. Okay, you see that, guys? You see that? You pass it around. It's really a magnificent picture. It's a magnificent picture.
Rabbi, that picture's in the Koran Gemara. I could send it to you.
Which Koran Gemara?
Koran. Wow. I'm going to send it to you.
That's probably copyrighted also. So that's the problem. But you got the picture. It's a beautiful picture. You pass it around. Really, it really depicts everything. So, okay, as these guys are looking at the picture, I'll continue. Now, in order for the kohen to spritz towards the, he had to see the bias. Now, here's your problem. Every wall was like 20 amas high. It's very, very, I think everywhere, not the walls were higher than that, but I'm saying the opening was 20 by what do they call it? They were all high, except the eastern wall. What was the problem? If he'd look from the eastern wall through the door, he wouldn't be able to see the oil moed, because the oil moed would be cut off. And therefore it's necessary to lower the wall so he could look over the wall. In other words, unable to see directly, right? Unable to see directly, he had to lower the wall to go over the wall. This is only according to Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov. We're going to go through a mathematical cheshbon. It was 20 high. Good. So let's say it only took up 19 and a half. So you'd have a half that you'd be able to look through the door. But like Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, it's going to come out to 20 and a half. So the door is going to be totally covered, that you had to lower the wall to look over the top. And that's going to be the raya that's called the Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov. Again, one more time, guys. We're going to do the math in a second, but here's the raya. The Mishnah in Midos is going to state that all the walls in the base of Mikdash were high except one, the eastern wall. Why? Because Har HaZeisim is to the east of what? Of looking towards what call the ulam, the Pesach oil moed, the ulam. You have to be able to see it. So if you were below 20, you'd be able to see directly through, because the height of the door was 20. Good. So why would it be necessary to lower the wall to look above the wall if you could look through the wall in the door of 20? And the answer is going to be because, like Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, the elevation of the har went up and up. It went up to 20 and a half. So it was totally covered. Therefore, you had to lower the wall. And we're going to see Bez Hashem how do you get to 20 and a half. Okay, that's the sugya. So we're bringing a raya from according to Rebbe Elazar ben Yaakov. So let's see the raya. Kolak Solim. Like I got Kenny here. I got my Miaf guy here. Kolak Solim. All the walls. Shahayu Sham. Hayu Gavoyim. They were high. Chutz Mikaislam Mizrachi, except for the eastern wall. Shehakoyin Asarif is a para. The kohen who would burn the para. Oimei Bahara Amishcha. He would stand up on Har Hazeisim. And he would look down and be maza. He would sprinkle 7 times towards the heichel, the blood, and he has to be able to see the heichel. Good, he has to be able to see the heichel. V'tanan kol apsachim shahayu sham, all the openings there. Gavoyim eser amma, v'roichim eser amos. They were 20 amos high and 10 amos wide. We don't care about the width, only care about the height. Good. So guys, as long as I'm lower than 20, I could see through the door. As long as I'm lower than 20, I'll be able to see directly through the heichel, right? As long as I'm lower than 20. V'tanan, lifnimi menu soireg. Like the soireg, we met the soireg. The soireg was a gate that was outside. The significance of the soireg was a goy couldn't go beyond that. You might remember from the Sechta Shkolim that the 13 Ishtachaviyos, we had Machloikis, was it connected 13 gates or connected the 13 places that the goyim made pierces in the soireg because it scared them that we didn't let them through. Lefnimi menu ha'chel, and in that was the chel. Eser amos, they went to 10 amos. We don't care, guys, about the length. We're only going to deal with height, okay? Eser amos ushtei mesrei milas hayushtam. Here's what we care about. The chayil guys had 12 steps. Roim ma'ila chatziyama v'shilcha chatziyama. How high was it? 1 by 1, a half by half. So half of 12 is how much? Is 6. Good. Tesvav milas oilos mitoichos hayardois me'ezes Yisrael ezes nashim. Now you had 15 steps that went down from the ezes Yisrael to ezes nashim. Those rounded curved steps. So now you have that's 15 steps. Is 7.5. So you have 13.5 right now. 6 for the chayil and 7.5 for the milas on from going from Eser Yisrael to Eser Nashim. Roy Maila Chatziyama v'Shil Chatziyama. V'Tanan Beina Ulam Mizbeach Eschaf Beisamis. Again, the distance of Chaf Beisamis. You don't care now. U'Shtayim Esrei Milas Hayusham. There were 12 steps there. Roy Maila Chatziyama v'Shil Chatziyama. That's another 6, 12. So you have a total of what? 19.5, right? 6 and 6 is 12. 7.5 is what? Is 19.5. So right now, according to that, you could see why you got a little bit. You got a half that you could see. V'tanan, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Omer, Maila Hoysa Sham. There was one other step. The Gavoya Amma. It was Hayan Amma v'Duchin, and we called it the Duchin and Nois Nalel by Shalish Mailos, and we put on it 3 steps. Shal Chatzi v'Chatzi Amma. Rashi does the math for you there. So now, in other words, you have 19.5 plus 1, 20.5. So very geschmack. If you're going to tell me very good that Masechta Midos is according to Elazar ben Yaakov, that's why the opening was covered up, because there was only 20 and you were half above. So therefore you had to lower the wall to see from Haramishra into the what? Into the bais. You have what? That area of a half, it's 19.5. Shmami no, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Shmami no, it's Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. And if you look at the art scroll, which I'll do now in the second for you. No, that's not it. Okay, this is what? The Gemara is going to suggest the following. The Gemara is going to suggest that perhaps the Mishnah is not according to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Perhaps the Mishnah is according to Rabbi Yehuda. That Rabbi Yehuda had the location of the Mizbeach blocking the Heichel, and therefore you won't be able to see. Not because of the doorway, because the Mizbeach blocked the Ulam, and therefore you needed to lower the wall to see above. In other words, it was the Mizbeach that was the problem, and not what, and not the elevation was the problem. Okay, and then the Gemara is going to disprove that. Okay, did it make any sense? No, it's going to be blocked. You can be blocked by the Mizbeach, and not the elevation. The elevation will be less. But the Mizbeach will be a problem. Shmami no Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. 2 lines from the bottom. Okay. Rav Acha bar Ava Omar, Hamani, Rabbi Yehudahi. Maybe the Tana who said you had to lower the eastern wall to see the Ulam was Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. The Tanya, Rabbi Yehuda was Rabbi Yehuda. The Tanya Rabbi Yehuda Aimer, Hamizbeach mimutza v'oimed be'emsa azara. The Mizbeach was centered and standing in the middle of the Azara. Now, the Mizbeach, guys, was 32 by 32. Right? Shloshim Ushtayim Amis Hayolo. It was 32 Amis. Eser Amis Keneged Pischa Shel Heichel. Guys, of the 32, 10 took up the 10. The Heichel was 10 wide, right? So 32, you had 10, which leaves us with 22. So then you had 11 on one side and 11 on the other side, which would take up the whole expanse of 32. Okay. Pischa Shel Heichel Yiralav Amis L'Tzafon V'Yiralav L'Dorim. Nimsa Mizbeach Mechuvin Keneged Heichel V'Kaislav. Nimsa Mizbeach was mamish, guys, covering up the kaisel and of the ulam and the sides. Therefore, you need a wall to see over it, so you don't have a raya. That's Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Ken Zayin, it's Rabbi Yehuda. Now we're going to disprove that. Okay, guys, Kishmak. Now we're going to disprove that. Isal Kedaita. There's a girsa over here which makes more sense. The girsa of Rabbi Eliezer Yaakov. So Omar, Amri, no. The Isal Kedaitach Midos Rabbi Yehuda. If you're going to say Midos, is the Tana Rabbi Yehuda Mizbeach be'emsa azarim mishkachas la. In other words, you want to say Rabbi Yehuda taka holds the Mizbeach was in the middle, but in Masech the Midas they don't. Guys, we want to say that Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov is not Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, it's Rabbi Yehuda. Why? Because Rabbi Yehuda holds the Mizbeach is blocking the way. But we're going in order to be Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, you have to find a sheet in Masech the Midas that says the Mizbeach was in the middle. We're going to see Masech the Midas, the Mizbeach was in the south. So if the Mizbeach was in the south, it can't be in the middle. If it's not in the middle, then there's nothing blocking unless it's the elevation. Unless it's a good raya. The Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov is the Tana of the Mishnah Midas. So we're going to be restored, and that's going to be the Pshat. Says the Gemara the following. You don't find the Mizbeach in the middle according to Rabbi Yehuda. But Tanan, here's the Mishnah Midas. Kol Azara, the whole Azara, Hoisa, Oirech Meo Ushmainu Sheva. The length of the Azara was 187. Al Roichev Meo Ushleishim V'chamesh by 135. We need the width, guys. You know why? Because the Mizbeach runs south to north. Guys, remember, Mizbeach runs south to north. 187 is east to west. We need the Mizbeach running south to north. Now, so we're going to go through the whole Mishnah, but we need the width. We need the east to west. Now, going through the Mishnah. Mizrach lemayriv meiush minor sheva. Mokim, what does that mean? From east to west is 187. Mokim Jesus Ragli Yisrael is Yud Aleph Amma. Mokim Jesus Ragli Kahanim is Yud Aleph is 22 Amis. Mizbeach Shloishim Mishtayim, and the Mizbeach would give you what? Would give you a 32. 32 and 22 would have what? 54, right? And Ben Ulam the Mizbeach, you'd have another 22. 50, what's that? 54 is 76, and the 76 you have so far. Heichel Kuf Amma is 176. Yud Aleph Amma Achure Bes HaKapayres, and 11 Amas after the Kachay Kedashim, the Heichel with 176, and 11 is 187. Okay, so okay, but we don't need that. Next, here's what we need. Min Hadorim Litzafen, from the south to the north, is Meu Shloishim V'chamesh, is 135. Hakevish v'hamizbeach, the kevish in Mizbeach, guys, is Shishim Ushtayim, is 62. It was 62. Good? Min Mizbeach l'tabois, from the Mizbeach, maybe if it's still here, of course it's never here. Yeah, you can see this, guys. Shalom, you can see it.
No, nothing yet.
Okay, forget it. I'm not going to fool around with this. I can't. Very frustrating. I just don't. Heichel. very frustrating. Okay. Anyway, going from, I guess you could break out the original picture there. Maybe if I can just bring it up. Let me try to bring it up. It'll just go better for you. So it's worth the wait. Recorded because I didn't record it. Okay. So now, so you have a situation based upon that picture where you see that the Mizbeach in the Mishnah in Midos, and again, we want to say Midos is according to Rabbi Yehuda, but it can't be because you see based upon the dimensions that they're calculating in the Mishnah in Midos that Mizbeach was situated in the south, and it wouldn't impede the sight line of the kohen that's Soyer Fesapara. Mela, there must be the reason. The only thing that can impede the sight line is the elevation of 20 and a half with that, which you get as a result of adding an extra amma, according to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Let's just see it in the words over there. So it says, "Esem abba min hatabois l'shulchanis is arba min hashulchanis l'nanasim." To these little lanasim and little hooks, the tables for the hooks is arba min hanasim l'koisel is azara is chesamis v'amoiser and the extra min hakoisel l'koisel u'mokam min hanasim. So it was 10.5. It was 114, 135 is 11, is 21. 21 divided by 2 is 10.5. Fisal kedaitach midas Rabbi Yehuda he. If you can say Masech the midas, is Rabbi Yehuda mizbech beemsa azarim mishkachasla haruba the mizbech bedarim kai. You see that what the roiv of mizbech is in the south, not in the blocking. Elash mamina. When you see that again, what's the given? That they made the guys the midas. They made the wall smaller. The eastern wall smaller because you couldn't see directly in and you had to see above. The only one that would work out according to for that reason would be Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Like the Chachamim, the elevation is only 19 and a half. You'll be able to see a half amma through and you'll be able to sprinkle. Like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, since you have an extra amma, it's 20 and a half. You can't tell me it's Rabbi Yehuda who says the Mizbeach is in the middle because clearly the Mishnah Midos is depicting the roiv of the Mizbeach in the south. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Ishmamina. We have a very, very, very good raya. Get very excited about tomorrow's daf. Look at its size. Okay.
He loves that, right? We do it now, right? That's a pretty special, right?